playing with the other fighter mentally. Like, yeah, you think you're gonna submit me? I'm I'm Mackenzie Dern. Like, she could have said things like that. Like, you're not even close. And that would have put Marina Rodriguez in that mindset of, man, if I don't get this, or my arm's gonna feel the same in the third round. Like, there's a lot of questions to be answered if Mackenzie started talking to her. But overall, Marina Rodriguez did a phenomenal job. She was sticking and moving, keeping her back off the fence, using that push kick up the middle, using the long range punches to the body as well. Those were nice. She had a couple really nice body shots, and that little quad kick was amazing. And so those type of things, I think, has really catapulted her. I think once after the second round, she knew she had survived. Mackenzie wasn't too eager to get in the takedown right off the bat at the beginning of the third. She got her win back, and she just started touching Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie had no answer. There was really only one double leg takedown attempt. The rest of it was all just trying to punch to the clinch, recklessly with her head down, reaching for the head. And that's a remedy. That's something she needs to remedy as soon as possible. Because when she gets into those, she's already in the top 4, but I'm saying when she gets to that number 2, number 3 of the champ, you can't have those kind of weaknesses when you get there. You might be so damn good on the ground, but you can't afford to have those kind of weaknesses getting to the champ. And so the champ is on an all-time high in terms of confidence. They're the champ.
A fine day.
They're feeling everything. Now, sure, maybe they're concerned about your jiu-jitsu, but they also have studied you enough coming up that they know they can see and probably learn to exploit your weaknesses in the amount of time it's going to take you to get to them. And so overall, though, like, I thought it was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but last week's fight wasn't great either, but it was still a good fight. All the fighters fought tough. Mackenzie fought tough. Marina Rodriguez fought tough. You're going to see probably just a swap in position. I think you're going to see Marina Rodriguez jump up to number 4, and you're going to see Mackenzie Dern drop down to number 5. They have 2 number 4s. I don't know why.
Well, she should be 5, right? Because
yeah.
That's just, I think I missed it.
Yeah, they just said that she was ranked 4. I mean, like, does she have to be 5, or would the Yan girl, I don't know how to say it, Xiaonan? Xiaonan? Didn't she just lose? Xiaonan just lost to somebody, I thought. Maybe she didn't.
May Ariel's light shine upon you.
Was it Carla Esparza? Yeah, it was Carla Esparza.
Yeah, it was Carla Esparza, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but Carla's number 1, number 2,
3.
somewhere in there, I believe.
She's 3.
Number 3. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see Carla probably get the next title shot after Wei Li Zhang and Rose Namajunas. So that'll be good. But overall, fight was I thought it was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight. Hard-fought fight for Mackenzie Dern. Well, I think she learned a lot in a 5-round fight where it went the distance, where she took a lot of shots. She realized how tough she is. She knows what it's like now to be exhausted in there going into the championship rounds, and what it's like to not be able to control the tempo of the fight, not being able to control what happens in the fight. So she's going to go back to the drawing board. She'll make another run. I mean, how old is Mackenzie Dern?
I think
she's young.
32, I think it was.
Oh, she's 32?
Oh, sorry, 28.
Oh, she's 28. I thought she was
30,
to be honest. 29, 30. So she's 28. Good stuff. You know, she looked like she was in phenomenal shape. But just trying to pressure, trying to get the takedown. When you know you don't have a lot of takedowns, like even that takedown she went for the throw. She didn't get it. She just pulled her down on top of her and went right to attacking the leg lock. Not really attacking the leg lock, but using that leg lock kind of X guard position to like sweep to get to the top. It was nicely done. She had thrown the leg over to the hip, hit that. She put the reverse heel hook position on the leg. She basically just tucked the foot back underneath her and sat back up on top of her. Nicely done. It was beautiful work. Okay, Randy Brown and Jared Gooden. Good fight. I thought it should have went the way it went. I don't know. There was I think it was Anik. Anik was saying, or I don't know who was saying. I think it was Anik was saying that he thought it was 1-1 going into the third. Maybe even Paul said that. But either way, there was no way. I thought Randy Brown won the first. He definitely won the second. It was a good fight up until, it was competitive. Here's the thing. All that Gooden had to do was like land a couple more shots. He had to be a little bit more active in landing the cleaner, harder shots. I had it 30-27. I don't know what judge. I think one of the judge gave it to Gooden, and I was thinking to myself, that should have never have happened. that Randy Brown won all.
May
He won
Ariel's
all the
light
fight.
shine
He
upon
won the
you.
whole fight. I thought he won all 3 rounds. Overall, though, good fight. Long, lanky. Like I like to say, he was long, tall, long, and lanky, and he utilizes every single bit of that. Let's talk about the toughness, though, of Randy Brown. Dislocates his toe, his big toe, after push kicking Gooden in the face. Like he does the offense. He dislocates his own toe. That's like some shit that would happen to me doing it to Dave. You know, like granite chin that Dave's got. Just like probably just break my toe, pop it right out. But overall, it was a good performance by Randy Brown. Stayed long. I don't know how he absorbed so many calf kicks. The calf kicks were on point by Gooden. I thought he should have kind of went more to them earlier in the fight because he was having success early in the fight, and he kind of got away from him a little bit and started kicking the upper leg, and then he started kicking the inside leg. And I know Brown was switching stance, but every time he got Randy Brown going backwards, he should have been trying to tattoo that leg. But overall, one of the best. It was one of the nicest, cleanest performances. I think is he at 185? Randy Brown, he's 185. I believe at 180. He's not in the rankings.
What was
But I think him and Kevin Holland would be a good fight. Randy Brown and Kevin Holland would be a good fight.
Looks like.
Oh, 170. Okay. Oh, that's why they were talking about how big he was or how tall he was for the weight class. I was like, because Jared looks small. So Jared Gooden, and then you got Randy Brown, and but good fight, man. Good fight overall. Dealing with the toe, and he could tell he just kept adjusting it. Like Paul Felder was like, he keeps stepping on it, almost like trying to put it back into place. Or just trying to, like, sometimes you step on it. Sometimes you, like, put pressure on it to ease the pain, too, for a second. I mean, he had some good stuff, was doing a lot of great things. He also had success with that little front thigh kick. You know, the oblique kick. There's the word I was looking for.
I was trying to think of it as well.
The oblique kick. Dave, pay attention, buddy. Talk to me, Goose. You got to tell me these things.
I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember. I was
Yeah.
I had a word in my head. I was thinking, like, I don't know.
There's not much in there, bro.
Last day, isn't it?
No, but it was a nice oblique kick, man. It was he also was using the oblique kick to kind of keep Gooden away because Gooden got power in his hands and was utilizing that calf kick as well. So every time he went to hit that calf kick, he would try to throw that little oblique kick, and that was nice. He was doing some good stuff, very nice stuff. Good at chaining things together. Good at putting the combination together. Sometimes he'd go push kick and he'd come back with the hands. Sometimes he'd go hands and he'd come back to the oblique kick. He did a lot of good stuff. So Randy Brown, great job, great win. Nicolau versus Elliott. Good fight, hard fought fight, and I really believe, this is what I was talking about with Paul Felder. I really believe Paul Felder called it. Is the last 2.5 minutes of the third round, he decided to sit on the bottom and hold that lockdown position. He had locked basically like a rubber guard position. They call it like a lockdown, or not a lockdown. They call it something control. Mission control. They call it mission control. It's kind of a very similar position to mission control, where he hooked in between the leg, almost like trying to attack omoplata, but then locked his legs.
Teleport, Deva?
And was just holding him there, hoping that I think the ref was going to stand him up. But at the end of a 3-round fight with 2.5 minutes left, he just took you down. You don't have 1.5 minutes to spare, hoping that the ref's going to stand you up. So that was wasted time. He should have been a lot busier. Sweep, submit, get up, or submit, sweep, get up. You've got to be attacking the submission. If you don't get it, go right from that submission to your sweep. But if you don't get that, then you just kick them back and get up. And then I feel the same way about going submission first. If you don't get the submission, go sweep, then go sweep right after that. If you don't get that, go submission. They're interchangeable. And so if you do those things, I think you have a better chance of getting up. He had just locked him down, held him there with 2.5 minutes left, and he hadn't really won the first 2.5 minutes either. It was a close 2.5 minutes. So when he lost the takedown and then just basically was on, Nicolau was on top for that amount of time, it kind of let the judges know, like, hey, he's either tired or he just doesn't have the answer to get back up to his feet. And that's not something that you want to see from Elliott. Like, that's not something I would normally see from Elliott. I'm surprised. He should have came with that like last-ditch effort type mentality of getting back up to his feet. Because like I said, though, too, with Mackenzie Dern, there comes a time in the fight, which for Elliott was the last 2.5 minutes. You've got to give your back. You've got to just stand up. You've got to go to the half guard position. You can't just hang out there in that position. Whereas Mackenzie Dern was stuck on the feet but there was never an attempt to like Imanari roll or trying to like shoot on the single leg and then try to lift or punch into the clinch and then dropping down on a double or dropping down on a single and trying to pull her away from the fence. There was never those moments for either one of them. So eventually that ended up costing them the fight. And Tim Elliott is a better fighter than that. He's a more knowledgeable fighter than Mackenzie Dern when it comes to that portion of the fight IQ. He should have that in his bag. He should have known, like, look, I'm going to lose this fight if I don't get this thing, if I don't get back to my feet and at least start touching him with my hands or get a takedown on him to equal this thing out. And that never came about. And so that was, I think that was a hard part. It wasn't a hard, it was easier for the judges to make that decision. And so it was, I thought Nicolau looked good. I had him losing the first round. I think I had him winning the second, and he started coming on. And then he started coming on the second. He had a great second round, I believe it was. And then the third round, that little takedown at the 2.5-minute mark really secured him the fight because Tim Elliott kind of pretty much gave it away. Agapova versus Mazo. It was good. With Agapova, she's long and lanky, but then Mazo is longer and lankier than her. But she was throwing her stuff with power. What she needs to, and I'm going to do it, I'm really criticizing, but Agapova needs to, for her to get to that next level of competition, she's going to need to tighten up her striking a little bit. Her right hook is real kind of loopy, and the whole night she was circling right into that power of Mazo. So what she needs to do is make sure that she mixes it up. I've never been someone that's always been committed to saying, hey, I need to make sure my right foot is on the outside, of the outside of my opponent when you're someone's conventional and someone's a southpaw. I mix it up. So like I'm going to use Nate Diaz as an example. Is sure I want to keep my foot on the outside, but if you guys go back and watch the fight, I kept switching stances and I kept switching directions as well. So I would switch my stance and I would circle to the right, and then I'd switch my stance back, and then I'd circle to the left, and I would try to circle away from his power punch. Or if I was in my conventional, I'd circle, into his power punch. But I also had a higher hand up on that side for defense. And I had already set up some combinations that I was going to throw from that position. And so with Agapova, she was kind of throwing the same combinations, which is fine because they were landing. She was having success, so why change it up? Keep going to the well. Mazo didn't really have an answer for it. And if I was Mazo's corner, though, what they should have been telling her was, look, she's circling towards your power hand, and if anyone's circling towards your power hand, you got to make them regret going that way. So we used to do this drill inside the, and we did it in a ring, not in a cage at AKA. Is we had a coach that would circle towards your power hand, and what you would do is you would throw the right hand or you would throw the head kick on that side, but right after you threw that, you would come back with like a left hook and a straight right after that. You want to stop their momentum from them going to your power hand, make them stop in place. So if you throw the head kick on that side, they stop to block, then you come right back with the straight right. What that does, that puts them right where you want them to be after you throw your head kick. So your head kick is not hard. You throw the head kick, boom, you stop the momentum, you get them to stop right in front of you, throw the straight right and the left hook, and maybe finish back up with the head kick again or a body kick on that side when you're going against conventional versus southpaw. And in this scenario, Mazo wasn't really doing anything. She just kept trying to walk after her and throw straight punches. She threw a couple loopy ones, but they weren't there. You could just tell that she didn't have the power that Agapova had. Agapova was throwing with a little bit more speed as well. I thought there was moments where Mazo could have had success, but she wasn't pushing the pace fast enough. Also, too, why not get into, like, this is another thing with Paul Felder. He said, you got to have to change it up. You got to get in there. You got to get in there and mix it up, like in terms of don't just keep trying to stand. You're getting pieced up. And I've always said this about it. Like, if fight IQ is this, make those adjustments. If you're losing on the fight, you've got to make the adjustment. Not saying that you need to get the takedown. You don't need to force the takedown. Don't make yourself so tired like you did with like Mackenzie Dern did, where she made herself so tired trying to get the takedown and put more pressure on her to get it that she got exhausted and wasn't able to fight the rest of the fight, really. She was just labored after that whole thing. But you go out there, you shoot it on the double legs, you press her to the fence, and then you just hang out there on her. If she gets away, she gets away. Because they were more equal on the feet than Dern and Rodriguez. So Mazo and Agapova, they were very equal, I believe, on the feet. Agapova had more power, was a little bit faster, and she was with a little bit more tenacity, like throwing her combinations. Mazel started not having that success when she started getting pieced up. So now if you start mixing in the takedowns, if you start making her think that I'm going to shoot, that split second of hesitation will make a huge difference on whether she gets gets off or not. So if Agapova is hesitant for, say, a split second or maybe even a full second, then Mazel's able to land a combination or potentially get the takedown. So either way, it's a success. So you've got to, like, in terms of fight IQ, the corner of Mazel should have been saying, like, let's mix this up a little bit. I mean, let's punch our way into the clinch, press her to the fence, maybe drop down on the single leg or the double leg, and if we can't get it, come right back up to the body lock if it's not there. And there was never a moment in there where she was doing that. And she had like one or two opportunities where she pressed to the clinch, but then she didn't really have a lot of success there. One time she got put in a guillotine. Didn't seem like it was that tight, but she was forced to hand fight out of there. She wasted quite a bit of time trying to get out of there, so it looked like she was losing even when they were in the clinch. And so she struggled the whole fight. There was never a moment where Maza was winning this fight. Agapova was winning that fight from the beginning to the end. So good performance by her, good stuff. Paul Felder was on point tonight, like on a lot of the stuff that he was talking about. Great stuff. I normally don't listen to the commentary, but damn, it's hard not to when I know Paul Felder's calling the fights. And so I'm sitting there going, damn, this guy, he's so good. Like he breaks it down step by step. And I'm like, he's doing a phenomenal job. Chris Gutierrez, it was a close. I thought it was close, but I thought Gutierrez was winning. I don't see how it was a split though. I thought Gutierrez had definitely won unanimously, and so it was a good fight. He was just getting off first. He was blocking all the kicks. I don't know how you say his name, Caleres or whatever. He was having a hard time putting the combinations together with his hands and his kicks. Now, I know both of them are heavy kickers in terms of both of them kick a lot is what I mean. They both have heavy kicks as well, by the way. But both of them are heavy kickers. Both of them use a lot of their weapons are starting off with their kicks. So they kick first, then throw their combination, which a lot of people cannot do because they leave themselves open to be countered because their kicks are sometimes slow or sometimes they're lazy or sometimes they're not on point or sometimes they're telegraphed. So not a lot of people like to kick first. What they do is they like to throw the hands first, then throw the kick behind because people normally put their hands up to block their face. And when they do that, what that does is it opens up either the midsection or the legs to be kicked without being caught. And so that's a lot of people will like to do that. A lot of fighters would like to do that first. Is throw the hands first. I love to kick first and then throw the hands and then maybe finish with a kick, or you throw the hands, kick, and then come back with the hands. So they don't think you're done. Even if it's only like throw the jab, then throw the kick, come back, and then come back with a three-piece. Hit him with the Masvidal, that kind of thing. So that type of stuff goes a long ways in dictating how the fight is fought. Because now you've got your opponent guessing on everything that happens. And so that's one of those situations where Gutierrez was on point tonight. He was touching him, and even when he felt like he was too close, something that like a lot of fighters have a hard time with, me included when I was fighting, it was hard for me to lunge in with an elbow. I had a hard time doing that. I felt like, okay, if I miss, I'm going to get countered. I just felt like the range was never there. I never really got that down. And he was on point. Gutierrez was on point. He was kind of shepherding he was parrying or shepherding the jab or the punch and then coming in with the elbow, or he was slipping inside and throwing the elbow, which was just phenomenal. Great work. Good stuff. I mean, like, he had a great fight. Overall, I thought that main card was a pretty good night of fights, in terms of the level of competition for each other. It was pretty equal. And what we saw was two talented fighters on both sides just getting after each other and just seeing kind of where they're at before they get into the rankings or where they're at in the rankings. And I thought it was a good night of fights. I thought the main card was good. And they all fought their asses off. They all fought, and some of them came up a little bit short. Some of them had some great performances. But I think who stole the night there was two. I thought Agapova stole the night, and I thought I thought Marina Rodriguez stole the night. I thought she had a great performance.
May the shadows never find
She looked fabulous, and good stuff, man. Good card overall. I thought it was a good card. Let's talk about mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in. If you guys use that little QR code right there, that will give you a little extra spending cash when you use the promo code weighing in at mybookie.ag. Also, with football coming to start, you've got the World Series coming in, the playoffs of baseball. I'm telling you right now, there's lots of ways to win money. Don't miss out on that at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in. Use that QR code right there. And what they're going to do is give you a little extra money because you used our promo code of weighing in. You guys, there's plenty of things to bet on. Basketball's coming back. Football's coming back. Football is back pretty much. And then you've also got hockey coming back around. I think they just started this season as well. I'm telling you right now, if you like to put a little bit money down here and there, try mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in. Use that QR code for the bonus cash with the promo code weighing in.
All right, let's hop into this first piece around Patricio Pitbull. He has decided to vacate the belt at 155 so that he can focus on 145. He came out and said, starting today, I'm no longer the Bellator lightweight champion. Honor and family come first. When I first won the lightweight belt, it was just about revenge. It was still an honor, but it was the loss at 45. But with the loss at 45, I'm starting over. It's time for the lightweight division to move on and for Patricio to have his shot at the title. My focus is on AJ and him only. On November 5th, my brother will fight for the lightweight title against Peter Queally in Ireland and will bring the title to Brazil.
This is really, like, from the moment he won the title and he knocked out Michael Chandler, he was just saying, I'll relinquish that title once my brother gets a title shot. And there was a banter back and forth that potentially the two of them would fight each other, which would have been great. That straight up, what was that movie? Warrior. I think it was called Warrior. It was an MMA fight with, was it Dan Hardy? Dan Hardy was in it, I believe his name is. Yeah, it was Dan Hardy and someone else. It was a good little movie. Anyways, there was like two brothers that ended up fighting each other, I think in the finals of some tournament, I believe it was. But it was a movie I was supposed to be in. I think Anthony Johnson was in it. A couple other fighters were in it. But I was supposed to be in it. I was scripted for one of the main guys. One of the main guys that got knocked out. One of the main guys that got knocked out, slumped through the ropes. I was scripted for that. And then last minute, I had to pull out because Strikeforce had offered me a fight. And so I had taken the fight. I believe it was the third fight with Gilbert Melendez. It was the third fight. So I just said, I'll just take that fight over I'll take that fight over doing the rookies. Which is good. I'm super glad. That was one of those moments where I was like, oh man, could have been a star.
In a way, you got to live it through your fight with Patricio, right? Because he did not play.
Yeah. Oh, just rubbing the salt in the wound there, huh, buddy? Big John's not. I said, you know what? Now that Big John is not here, I'm going to just strictly just blame it on him. He cannot defend himself. It's all John's fault. Oh man! But look, overall, I believe this is a great fight. I think Peter Queally and Patricio Pitbull, they've already fought. I had Patricio winning the fight up until the moment of the cut, and then he got cut. And the fact that the two of these guys, they're both good fighters. Patricio got the power. I feel like he's got the speed. Queally's got the conditioning, the cardio, and he's got the output. He's somebody and he's also got the size. He is the enormous 155-pounder. He's tall, he's long, he's lanky, and he uses it. He's got a lot of movement and mobility. And I think you're going to see Patricio come out kicking like he did in the first fight. He's going to try to slow him down, try to get him to stand in front of him, and try to hit him with some big punches. But Peter Queally will still be there. He will still be there in the second, still be in the third, outside of getting clipped, I think you're going to see Peter Queally in that fight. It's going to be a great fight. I think the two of them now being pushed to the main event in Dublin, in Ireland, is going to be absolutely amazing. If you guys have not watched or been to a fight there in Dublin, I'm telling you right now, man, if you guys haven't bought your tickets to that fight yet, you got the Jimmy Show against Patchy Mix also. That's going to be a great fight. James Gallagher, he's fighting Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix is nasty good on the ground. James Gallagher is pretty damn good on the ground himself. Patchy Mix is tall, long, and lanky, and when he gets to your back, he's just nothing but finishes. Every person that I've ever talked to about him training with, they're like, gosh, he's just difficult to deal with. I'm good friends with Jake Shields. Jake Shields has been like, hey, he's like, him and Jake have been training quite a bit together, and he's like, man, he's the real deal. I was like, yeah, I call his fights. I know he's the real deal, but he's like, no, he's leaps and bounds above a lot of people that I've trained with and grappled with. And he's phenomenal. And You know, since he's been there at Extreme Couture's, kind of, you know, training with Jake Shields and other guys that are in that area. I mean, I can't wait to see how much better he's gotten since his last fight. But Patricky, this is his moment, man. This is it. If you don't win it right now, I mean, I don't know if he's going to end up getting another title shot. So he's gonna have to make sure that he's got his conditioning on point, because he's had problems with his conditioning. Like, he's had problems in that later second round, third round, and those are 3-round fights. You get into that fourth and fifth, you better. I know he's got the dog in him. There's no doubt. Like, when you talk about, that's what they're called, the Pitbull brothers, because they're dogs, man. They will stand and bang they'll stand and bang to the end of the bell, all the way till they go out on their shields. But the thing is, though, is you've got to fight smart in those moments. You got to have the conditioning to make sure you fight smart in those moments. And so I don't know if he's gonna have that same type of output in the fourth and fifth. And I'm not trying to criticize him at all. He's phenomenal. I mean, he beat me, you know, and I tip my hat to him for that. But it's like he has that little knock on his game that he does tend to slow down as the fight goes on, because almost every fighter that has huge knockout power like the Pitbull brothers do,
nice day, isn't it?
Generally tend to slow down. Patricio doesn't have as much of a slow down position, slow down gear as Patricky does. He tends to slow down more because he throws everything. He loads up and throws everything with power, whether it's a leg kick, whether it's a striking, whatever it is. He throws a lot of heat. So I think if he's in phenomenal shape, it's going to be a really hard fight for Peter Queally. But Peter Queally is a dog. He's someone that, like, if you go back and you watch the Ryan Scope fight, he was picking Ryan Scope apart in the first round. It was like target practice.
Nice day,
isn't it? Ryan Scope comes out in the second round right from the beginning, hits him with a combination, then finishes it with a head kick, drops Peter Queally. Peter Queally takes a beating for probably, I'd say, a good minute, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but then gets back to his feet and just wrecks Ryan Scope. Just touches him to the body, touches him to the head, just puts it on him. Now, that's a dog. That's somebody like Patricky. The two of them are just dogs. And so that's what makes this fight so fun. What's next?
All right, next topic. Have you seen all these former and current MMA fighters going into pro wrestling? And for the most part, it seems to be like they're going to AEW right now, probably because they're getting offered good paydays. But Masvidal was one of them, and it looks like Junior Dos Santos, off the back of Masvidal being there, is going to go there and stay there. He's 37 years old. He was there a few weeks ago with Masvidal, with Paige Van Zandt in Austin, a bunch of other people that I recognize from the MMA scene, and it looks like he's going to pro wrestling.
Bro, this is your world, bro. I have no idea about this world. I did see the short clip, though, of Masvidal throwing they called the Ben Askren knee. Mm-hmm. You know, so I saw him throwing that. Who did he do that to?
He did it to Chris Jericho, who is, you know, one of the biggest guys in the whole entire sport.
Nice day, isn't it?
But Dos Santos has never really been known to be like a talker or be like any of that, right? So it's kind of like weird.
No, but he's not known for that. But he's always been known as being one of the more athletic heavyweights in the MMA game. You know, I mean, for such a big guy, he's a big guy, but he's pretty damn athletic. I mean, if you look at the history of the fights that he's had, I mean, Cain Velasquez was pretty damn athletic as well. Maybe he didn't look it because he didn't look the part, but he was extremely athletic. I mean, the grinder in terms of wrestling, in terms of, that guy could do cartwheels. He can do backflips like DC, but he could do it all. You know, when it came to doing whatever it is we were doing for the little guy training, he could do it as well. And when you look at his fights against not just Cain, but other fighters, his movement, his mobility, he moves like a lightweight for a guy who's 250, 245, whatever it was he was. But he was extremely athletic. So I could see this happening. Now, I don't know how much they're going to have him talk. I mean, you know, but he's got the energy. He's got a little bit of charisma.
Day, isn't it?
He's an extremely nice guy. Every time I've ever met him, every time I've ever talked to him, he's been a phenomenal person. I sat next to his family in the second fight. I believe it was the second fight. They fought in Houston, Cain and Sagano.
I strive for quality.
Dos Santos. When they fought in Houston, I sat right next to his family, and I was trying to limit how much I was showing my excitement because, you know, you don't want to be one of those people. But I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter. I know he's older, but he's an athletic person, so I could see him jumping into this. I don't know how much he's gonna talk. That's my boy right there, Jake Hager, though. That's my boy right there. That's my boy.
And Jake's in the ring.
Hager's a stud, man. He's just a great guy.
So
He's a
Jake's
great
on
guy.
Chris Jericho's team. So it's kind of it's interesting, like just the dynamic of it, just to kind of see them. And then like I would have never thought I'd see Paige and Austin in there.
Well, it makes sense because that guy right there. Oh God, I forgot his name. He's the owner of American Top Team.
Nice day, isn't
Oh,
it?
he is.
Yeah. So that would make sense. Oh God,
Okay.
Dan Lambert.
Yeah.
Dan. So he's the owner of American Top Team. So he's the guy that that's a big reason why that they're probably there. I would say that's the main reason why I would say probably. So that
They
makes
paired
a lot
Dos
of sense.
Santos up with a manager, just like his mouthpiece, and I think he could.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, that's what they used to do in the old WWF days.
Yeah.
Is that when guys couldn't
Nice
talk
day,
well,
isn't
they
it?
would just pair him up with the manager.
Yeah.
Let what was his name? Jimmy the Heart, Jimmy the Hitman, not Hitman Heart. Jimmy the Mouth, whatever the Mouth was. Little weasel guy used to run around like in a leopard type jacket. God, I can't remember his name. And then what was the other guy? The guy that had like the 80s haircut that was over his ears. Little fat guy. Fat white guy.
Paul Bearer? That's
Yeah,
who you're
this
talking
guy.
about, Jimmy Hart,
What's
right?
this guy's name? Yeah, Jimmy Hart. I told you it was Jimmy Hart. So Jimmy Hart, and then who's the other guy? There was
Wait,
like a
who
little
you talking
fat. There was another little fat manager that used to run around with like an 80s haircut.
Is it Paul Bearer, the Undertaker's manager?
No. He was a fat white guy with blonde hair. God, I can't remember his name.
Nice
I remember
day,
Paul
isn't it?
Bearer too. I remember him as well.
The
It was
blonde guy
WWF.
doesn't- Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah,
Small. fat guy,
I think
blonde.
he was. God, who was he with? I'm trying to remember who he managed. He was like a short little. He looked like the Penguin, but he, remember the Penguin in the
Batman.
movie Batman? He looked like him. Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Oh,
He looked
yeah,
like
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But he was blonde. He was blonde. He had like a blonde. He had the 80s haircut where like the hair would hang over his ears. Blonde
let's
fat
see.
manager.
Is any of them?
Manager.
Yeah.
WWF blonde fat manager. See if I can find him.
No, I don't think we're. I don't think it's.
He was real popular. He was around for a long time. Watch, our comment section is gonna blow up. Bro, I thought you said you were a fan of WWF.
When I was born. When I was born, I
Jeez,
was.
Jeez.
man.
Just
Anyway,
say blonde manager in WWF.
All right, blonde.
Try that one out.
Okay.
Blonde manager WWF.
Oh, him there?
There you. Let me see. Yeah, him. Who's this guy? The guy in the leather jacket up there. Yeah, that guy.
That's,
Who's that?
Damn, why is his name not on there?
Gosh.
Like, everything says top
yeah.
25 managers. It just does everything except for his name. Let me click on that. Is this an article or is this going to be? Is this
Gosh, what was his name?
It's going to be at the top probably. It's going to be like.
Now you're killing me, bro.
I know.
I thought you knew this
It's
shit.
killing me too. Huh? It's going to eat away at you all night though if you don't know, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna.
He's
gonna
going to be
eat
number.
me up.
He's going to be number 2 on here. Watch Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, there you go, Bobby
Bobby
Heenan.
Heenan.
Bobby
Come
the
on, man.
Brain. That's right, the Brain.
How do you not
And then-
know Bobby Brain Heenan?
What did you just ask me that? Did you really just ask me how do I not know it when it's you?
God.
You actually bought one of these WWE belts and you got hanging over your shoulder every once in a while while we
it's like-
film.
It's just up there.
Yeah. Yeah. He used to. What was the guy's name he managed? Ravishing Rick Rude. Then I think he had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I think he managed him also. He managed a bunch of people.
Yeah, he managed a bunch of people. You know,
Yeah,
these guys
yeah.
rotate them through.
The Brain.
Anyway, AEW seems to have it happening right now. They've got all these MMA guys. Brock's just become a free agent on WWE, SmackDown, and Raw, so he can pick where he wants to go. Shayna Baszler's over at WWE, so they're all coming over because they don't have to take. And you look at back to Junior, you look at his record, right? In his last like six fights, or rather, sorry, 4 fights, he lost by TKO. So
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to now go over. Doesn't have to go and take that type of damage now, which is good.
Yeah, but there's a lot of damage that comes with that type of wrestling, though.
Just like
I mean-
aches and pains, though.
No, it's not. It's not aches and pains, Dave. Come on, man. See, this is
mean,
what
pretty
happens. This is why fighters get frustrated with, and I'm sure WWE guys or pro wrestlers get frustrated with you. Like, oh, it's just aches and pains. You're the guy that has the chips that's falling on his chest, right? Saying, oh man, I would have got out of that submission. Yeah, and then I would have got up and then head kicked him. Like, you're not even that flexible. You're
Sometimes
killing me,
it's
bro. You're killing me.
True.
No, but
All right,
there's
let's get
a
back
lot of damage, man, that comes with these type of sports, and And he's got to be careful. You're still taking headshots every once in a while. They still connect every once in a while. So I don't think he'll be doing any of the flips, any of that stuff. He's, I know he's athletic, but I don't think he'll be doing any of that stuff.
Nice day,
All right, let's
isn't
talk
it?
about something else. Next.
Let's get back into MMA. So Kat Zingano comes
Thank
out.
God. Dave just had to. Big John's not here, so Dave threw that AEW thing in there. If Big John was here, we would have shut that shit down.
Well, he'd have expressed like how proud he is of Junior having a venture past MMA.
That's
blah, blah, blah.
I think you're right. Big John's that kind of guy. He's one of those feel good guys, man.
All right, Kat Zingano comes out and says she should have been the fight for Cyborg, but she's okay with Sinead getting it. Her words being, "I called it Chris Cyborg. She called me out. It makes sense, and clearly all of us want it, but the time just isn't right." And she's excited to see what Sinead Kavanagh can do.
Yeah, look, in any sport, doesn't matter what it is, timing is everything. So as much as we can sit here and say, like that fight, I believe is going to happen. I think it's going to probably happen next after this. After she fights Sinead, I think that fight's going to happen. I don't know what the circumstances are. Even if I did know, I probably wouldn't say anything just because it's just smart not to get involved in that type of situation. But I think the fight for sure is going to happen probably next after this. It would make sense. Also, Kat has also really gotten herself on track in terms of what she needs to do to win this fight against Cyborg. And she's also getting a little bit older, so the timing is important for her to make sure that she's peaking at the right time. As you get older, you need to make sure that your body is in the best shape it can be for that fight. At 39 years old, she needs to make sure that this fight gets to the ground. I really believe, and maybe I'm just being dumb and naive, but I think if she's able to get this fight to the ground in the first round and potentially early in the second, I think she could be a problem for Cyborg. Because Cyborg is, sure, she's good on the ground, but she's not great. The other thing as well, she uses a lot of strength to get out of a lot of positions. Whereas Kat, she's got the top pressure. When she does get to the top, she can land some heavy shots. She can really start to make Cyborg second guess what she needs to do and start panicking every time that Kat gets in. The one thing that Cyborg does have, not just the strength, for somebody who punches with that amount of power and has that amount of output and fights at that type of speed, at that type of aggression, she sure seems to have pretty damn good cardio pushing into the 4th and 5th round. Kat will have not been in the 5th round, 4th and 5th round. I don't know if ever, but it's been a long time if she has. Can you scroll down to see?
5th round, she's not. Nope, never.
Yeah, she's never been in the 4th round or the 5th round. So as that fight goes on, you're going to start to see, Kat's never been there. And so the experience and the fight IQ, I think, of Cyborg will come through. So I think if Kat's going to have a chance, she's going to have to make sure that she dominates the first 3 rounds. And she's going to have to dominate in terms of getting takedowns. Because if she's able to get takedowns and really make Cyborg second guess on just rushing in with her blitz of punches and exchanges, I think that Kat could have a chance. Now, I'm not saying that she's going to win. I'm just saying that that's the way that I believe she's going to have to win. She's going to have to get a takedown early and hold her down, or make her work from the bottom for the full first round. If she's able to do that and then get an early takedown on the second and make her start fearing the fact that every time I get in on you, I can take you down, then that'll start changing the amount of output and the amount of power that Cyborg throws. Now, look, easier said than done. I don't know how many females have tried and have been unsuccessful. So that being said, we're going to see when it all comes down. But I can't wait to see that fight. But that fight will happen. Next.
Do you really think that Kat, be honest, like you don't have to be honest, but do you really think that she can be Cyborg?
Why would I lie to you? I don't like.
I mean, maybe you want to defend Bellator a little bit because
No. What am I defending? I think that I'm defending Kat. Right now, I'm saying that I'm not defending Bellator. I'm defending Kat. This is not a Bellator thing. It's not like
no. I don't mean it like that. I just mean
I don't care who wins.
You want to create some hype, right? So that's what I mean by you'll defend Bellator, right? Yeah,
no.
Hype,
what I'm saying is that she is being. I think she's going to be overlooked. But it's not as if it's not like she fought Megan Anderson. She lost. It was the eye injury. Okay, and then she fought Caitlin Vieira. Lost to a split decision. Scroll down. She beat Gabby Holloway. She beat Olivia Parker. She had a run. She lost to Juliana Pena, and she lost to Ronda Rousey. Let's be honest. Like, she lost to Ronda Rousey in the peak of Ronda Rousey. She had beat Amanda Nunes right before that. She had beat Miesha Tate. She had beat Raquel Pennington. She had beat Hashi. Outside of that, you get into like other smaller shows. So you get into those in that top show, go down a little more. Raquel Pennington, Miesha Tate, and Amanda Nunes. Now, don't get me wrong, time has passed. Okay, like then she lost to Ronda, lost to Juliana Pena, and then she lost to Caitlin Vieira. Look, then she beat Marlon Renault. But during that time though, confidence is key. You just fought for the title against Ronda Rousey. Didn't go well. She lost in 14 seconds. She made a huge mistake. She went running across the cage, jumped, didn't get it. It was one of those things, just ill-advised. Like, it's a 5-round fight. Like, take your time. And so that I think that was like, okay, what are you doing? Like, this is a 5-round fight. It's going to go a long time. And so in that fight, she should have been a little bit smarter about the whole situation. And I believe at that time though too, that Ronda's stand-up was not that good. And if I was going to put Ronda and her in terms of a stand-up fight and who potentially had the chance and opportunity to stop Ronda Rousey's takedowns in the judo and the clinch and get out of there and put her back to the fence, and it would have probably been her at the time. Then losing your title shot. Look, there's a lot of things and emotions that go through your mind after losing a title shot. Is shit, man. It took me that long to get there. Then I got there, and it wasn't what I thought because I lost. And now you're like, your confidence isn't what it was before when you were on your rise to the title shot. And you can look at a lot of fighters that after they've lost their title shot, they have just literally just gone downhill. They never made a comeback. They never were able to get back to the top. It's because mentally, just like, man, I put in all that work. And I'm going to give you an example. One of my close friends, John Fitch. You know what I mean? I know he got back to one at Bellator, but he got put into a tournament. In that tournament, he was able to get a title shot against, I think it was Roy McDonald. So in that tournament, that's how he got his title shot. But John, after he lost to GSP, it was a spiral effect. He had a win, he had a loss, he had a win, and then he lost. You know, it was like he just wasn't performing. The confidence wasn't what it was after. Because here's the other thing. After he lost, I believe after he lost to GSP, he went through this thing where he's like, he felt like he had to change things up. Dude, you got there by doing what you were doing. Keep doing what you're doing and make some tweaks. What he did is he ended up going vegan. He ended up like changing all this other stuff. And you could just see, like, he's like, oh, I feel great as a vegan. Yeah, but he had no strength. He was losing his strength in the clinch, in the power in his punches. He never really had a ton of power, but you could tell that it wasn't the same. He wasn't the same John Fitch that got him to the title. And I feel like the same thing also with Kat. Like, after she lost her title shot, she went through that lack of confidence, just wasn't there. There was a lot of other things, I don't know when, she had some outside issues, some family issues, and I'm not going to bring them up here, but, she had some real serious family stuff. And if you guys don't know, then, you guys can look it up. But if you don't, there was a lot of emotional stuff going on, in her life. And so there was a lot of things she had to deal with. And so she's still here. She's still out there fighting. She's still grinding away, doing her thing. Shit, tip my hat. I mean, she's a stud. So I'm not saying, like I said, and when we started this conversation, when you tried to jab at me about the Bellator thing, it's not a Bellator thing. I don't care who wins. My job is not to care who wins. My job is to say how one person can win and how the other person can win and how it would happen if this person did this and this person did this. I think that's why I said, I think she needs to get a takedown early in the first round. She needs to control Cyborg on the ground, make her work to get back to her feet, and then take her down again if she does get back up. And she needs to get a takedown early in the second, so she doesn't run into exactly what happened with Mackenzie Dern tonight. She doesn't run into that, oh, I got a takedown, and then she didn't even try to get a takedown until like a minute left in the third round. Well, by then, Marina Rodriguez has already fully recovered from the ass whooping she took in the second round. And her cardio and conditioning is back because her confidence is growing because she's done all the output in the third round. She's the one that's controlled the tempo of the fight in the third round. And since she controlled the tempo of the fight, she was pushing Mackenzie Dern around and she was dictating what was going on. That's relaxation. That's like, she's relaxed going like, there's nothing you're going to do to me. I can see everything coming because I'm putting the pressure on you. Kat needs to take that. What Marina Rodriguez did in the third, She needs to do the same thing to Cyborg. But she can only do that if she's able to get a takedown early in the first and able to control that first round, maybe get another takedown if she needs to in the first, and then also she needs to get one early in the second to let her know, every time I touch you, I can take you down. And when I take you down, I can control you. That's what Kat needs to do if she's going to win this fight. And like I said, easier said than done. This is not easy. This stuff is not easy. So for me to say that, she's going to have her hands full. The other thing is that Kat, when she first came to Bellator, she was only walking around about 143. They're going to fight at 145. So she's been spending, I believe, when I talked to her at one of the fighter meetings for her Gabby Holloway fight, Olivia Parker fight, she said, look, I'm trying to spend time putting some muscle back on. You know, because she had that time away from the sport for a while there, and she's just like, look, I want to spend some time putting some weight on. 2018 when she lost to Megan Anderson, then 2020 when she fought Gabby Holloway for Bellator. I mean, that's a long time. So she was, and then after that, she's like, okay, I got to get some weight on. I got to put some weight on. I get my strength back up. So she's been working, I think, on that, hopefully. And that should help a little bit. Next topic. Unless you got something else on that? Huh? You want to poke some more fun at me, buddy? John ain't here to save you, buddy. John ain't here to save you.
No, I just know how biased you are, so I just had to.
Sure.
Cameron Usman calls Colby Covington one of the top 15 welterweights of all time. Mm-hmm. Is he just trying to promote the fight, or is he being real? No,
he's being 100% real. I mean, look, I don't know if he's being real, but I'm saying the comment's legit, though. What people need to understand is that Kamaru Usman's a fucking really nice, really good person. And so even though he has beef with him, what does he care? He's already knocked him out. He's already finished him. He's the champ. And he's on a different level right now, I think, than everybody else in that division. There's going to come someone that's going to eventually knock him off, unless he decides to walk away. If this goes on another 2 or 3 years, like a John Jones, just be like, look, bro, you guys ain't on my level. I'm just going to just step away and go somewhere else. He may do that. Because I don't see anybody in that ranking system right now that could potentially beat him. Because his wrestling is so damn good. And now that he's with Trevor Whitman is tightening up his striking and utilizing that jab. That's something that's the most underutilized weapon in the game right now is the jab. And he's got a damn good one. And so when I'm breaking down Kamaru Usman, I'm like, he had success against Colby when he didn't have very good stand-up. He's gotten way better since then. Colby is the same fighter. Colby, don't get me wrong, is a good, phenomenal wrestler. He needs to have a different game plan for this fight, though. He cannot stand with Kamaru Usman, and maybe he can out-wrestle him, but how tired does he get in out-wrestling him? I thought he should have wrestled him in the first fight, and that he would have had a little bit more success on the feet in those exchanges, and then kept wrestling him to slow him down. Usman, when he wrestles, he's not the same guy after the wrestling that he is on the feet. After a hard-fought wrestling segment, he's not the same guy. The speed is not there. The laboring is there a little bit more. The pop and the power are not the same that when you make him wrestle. And that goes for almost every fighter. If you make somebody wrestle like hard, and then you put them out, like we do this drill in training, you'll wrestle against the wall. You'll do like takedown defense. You'll wrestle against the wall, and then when you turn the guy, you'll circle back and turn and face your mitt holder, and you'll pop mitts for a minute straight. Not just like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, like that garbage. No, you're rocking the mitts hard. Boom, boom, 3-punch, 4-punch, 5-punch combinations. You're ripping them hard. That's the type of work that I'm sure that he's doing, but it's still hard. No matter how much you train for it, it's extremely hard for fighters to wrestle, use all your whole body, and then turn and then pop mitts with speed and power. And Usman, from what I've seen, he doesn't have the same pop after you make him wrestle. But he also has been focusing a lot more on his stand-up, so he may have developed that since his last fight and now. He's looked good. He's looked phenomenal. And I said this the last time after he beat Masvidal. I said, I'm done. I'm done saying that he's beatable. I don't think he's beatable anymore. I think he's the man. I think he's the guy. He's the guy that I think, is going to be the champion there in the UFC for a long time. I think he's going to be the champion there for a long, long time. And so I don't see who's going to beat him. I don't know who's going to beat him. I don't see who's going to beat him. I don't think Colby has the answer. Colby, if he's going to have a chance, he's going to have to wrestle him. He's going to have to wrestle him, then go to the dirty boxing, and then go back to the wrestling. He's going to have to do to him what Randy Couture used to do to every single one of his opponents. He's going to have to just grind on him and just work on him and just get into those clinches and just elbows and knees and get down on the legs. And if you don't get it, come back up to the body locks. And then eventually, if you do get him down, just stay heavy on him, make him work, make him move. That's how someone's going to have to beat him. And Colby, if I look at the rankings, can you pull up the 70-pound rankings? If we look at the rankings, I don't know if there's another guy in those rankings right now that has the type of wrestling to do that to him outside of Colby. So if Colby doesn't use his wrestling this time, it's like it's just a free game for him. It's free for him to get there. Like Gilbert Burns, I think can beat him if he's able to take him down. I don't know if he can take him down because the submission threat I think is real. But we saw Gilbert walked into that fight thinking he could stand with him because I believe he thought he could stand with him because they had trained together, and he probably had success against Usman in the stand-up. He also probably didn't want to waste a ton of energy trying to get that takedown, and so that's why he chose to stand. He spent probably more time trying to stand. But with Colby Covington, he needs to wrestle and then dirty box and then wrestle again and then dirty box and then keep doing that back and forth to the point where someone like Usman, who is explosive, who is a good wrestler, may tend to slow down. He's got that explosive, fast twitch muscle. And when people have explosive, fast twitch muscle, they tend to slow down if you make them wrestle a lot more. You know, if you make them you grind on them and you make it a dirty, grimy fight, they will tend to slow down out in the open space. But Usman's got the reach, he's got the range, and what he's got, and I don't think people really take a look and see this. He's fucking accurate with his strikes. I mean, good heavens. I mean, his shot on Masvidal and then also his shot with Gilbert when he was touching Gilbert. Oh, I mean, it's on point, man. He is accurate with his strikes. He's got like I said, the most underutilized weapon in the game, and that jab is probably one of the best jabs in the game, hands down. And all that's due to him working with Trevor Whitman, and doing a great job out there with those guys. So I'm done overlooking Usman. I think Usman gets the win, but I think Colby will have a chance. Like in this, when we were talking about the Cyborg and the Katzengano thing, I feel like it's a very similar style of fight. Is that Colby's going to have to do that. He's going to have to get a takedown early. He's going to have to grimy him out. He's going to have to, if he does get back up, he's going to have to take him back down. He's going to have to make it that dirty, grimy fight. I don't know if he's got that in him. I don't know if he got it in him against somebody like a Usman. He's just damn good. He's a fucking stud. We're going to see. Next.
All right. Next story. Actually, it's not so much a story. This was something that you got on Twitter that you promised to comment on. And so if you don't want me to read the tweet, or do you want to kind of...
Yeah, read the tweet out for me, bud.
So Riley Ford tweeted you, Josh, you don't think more analytical people have a role in this space? Love hearing your perspective, like your outlook after the Tony fight, but people like Luke Thomas also provide really valuable insight and a very educated fan perspective. What's the point in fighting that?
No. Here's the thing, Riley Ford. I'm not fighting the fact that, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone, even like they've watched enough. Like let's say like Ariel, let's say Luke Thomas, let's say other media sources. They've watched enough MMA. They know the sport. They know it, but they've never been in there. And do they train? Do they train at a high level to understand really what's going on? The pressure of what the fighter's feeling, the pressure of being on bottom, being smothered when you're exhausted, the pressure of having your back to the fence and somebody touching you, not putting a lot of effort out like a Nick Diaz style, just touching you and touching you. There's nothing you can do. You saw a little bit of that tonight with Rodriguez and Dern. Like, she was getting touched and like Dern had no answers. She was just turning flustered, like hands down, just turning right into punches. That's my point, is that I'm not denying that. Like, look, they're gonna write their comments, they're gonna write their stories, and they do a great job. Okay, and I know that there's been a lot of stuff going on with Ariel and all this other stuff, especially with Brendan and a little bit with myself the other day. I look at it as fun, man. Like, I could give two shits. Like, but it's funny. I was just watching Dave Chappelle the other day. He's like, fuck Twitter. He's like, Twitter ain't real life. It's like, so that when people start getting into this, like, oh, you got burned, or you did this or this, or bro, when I get off Twitter, my life still goes on. Like, people take Twitter too seriously. So everything else goes on the same thing. But these writers, okay, guys like Luke, brilliant. Luke is probably somebody that, like, Luke is someone, when you listen to his breakdowns, he's got a lot of very good, insightful things. But Luke cannot tell you what the fighter is thinking in that moment. Luke cannot tell you what the fighter potentially could have done next to make that fight change. Luke, not just Luke, neither can Ariel. They cannot tell you those things. And because they don't have that fighter perspective. And I'm not knocking them. I mean, they chose a different lifestyle than a lot of us did, in terms of in this field. Okay? That's not what I'm trying to get at. But my point is that you can't say some of the journalists, some of the people, the MMA media is, a lot of the times they were fans first, and now all of a sudden decided to start writing stuff, and then they treat it as if like it's gold, and it's not. And that's like they don't understand the perspective of where a fighter is coming from when they miss weight. I think it's frustrating. I think with the Aspen Ladd situation, when she missed weight, it's frustrating. But the one thing that I've learned over the years is that females, just when their period comes, there's not a damn thing they can do about making the weight. They go from, okay, I'm only 1 pound over, all of a sudden now I'm feeling bloated and carrying water and holding water, and I'm like 2 pounds over. When I went to bed last night, I was 1 pound over. And so that's what makes the difference. Those are maybe perspective I like, that I've years and years of, talking with female fighters, training with female fighters, coaching female fighters, and having this happen. But those guys have never done that. They've never coached a female fighter. They've never had really one-on-one tight conversations with them about those type of situations. And I think that they both do a good job. Ariel does a good job. Ariel understands one thing. He knows how to get underneath people's skin to create a funny situation. He doesn't, like, when he gets off, because I was talking to DC when all this stuff the other night went down between Ariel and I. DC's texting me, he's like, bro, just leave him alone. He just really just gets on there, and he's like one of those guys. He can murder people on there, but Twitter's not real life. That's the biggest thing. Like, it's not a real place. And so when you get on there, like DC was having this conversation, like, he gets off and he's like, he goes back to his normal life. He doesn't take anything that people say offensive. He doesn't care. And when he does care, he brings it up. And when I had brought it up the other day with him about it all, is that he was talking about someone being like upset, or he was talking about people talking about him. And my comment was like, he really kind of is, he got triggered a little bit, because he has talked about it quite a bit as of lately, and that's not kind of like the Ariel that I know. And everyone's like, oh, he's sticking up for himself. I get it. I understand. But I'm going to give you guys the flip side on this situation. Okay. In that comment, in that last tweet that he had wrote a video. Okay. And this is kind of a reason why I kind of chimed in a little bit, was he had posted a video of him with Brendan doing an interview. And Brendan said something along the lines of, oh, I'm just like nervous, like to do the interview. Well, you have to remember, at that time, Ariel was kind of like ordained by Dana in terms of like, hey, he's the guy that you're going to do the interview with after. And that's considered like to be a big thing. Now you have a fighter like Brendan. It doesn't matter any fighter. You guys got to put this in perspective. Let's just put Brendan out of it. Let's just say it was Conor McGregor. Use a name like Conor. Conor comes out and he's like, after his win, say one of his first wins in the UFC, after he comes out and he says, hey, he comes out and he does an interview with Ariel. He's like, yeah, it's like, okay, this is new. This is new to me. I'm a little nervous. And just remember, he just exhausted himself. Maybe it was a 3-round fight. Maybe it was a hard fought fight. He's exhausted. His mind's not really all there. And so when I saw the tweet the other day from Ariel, I was like thinking to myself, like, that's a little kind of like, if you guys have words back and forth, that's okay. I understand, like, whatever. I don't care. Like, first off, I don't care about your guys' drama, but I thought that was a little over the top when he pulled up the interview and put that little thing there. Because what happens is, now you have a press guy, even if it's not Ariel, any other press guy. And that's the thing. People need to understand, I'm not talking about just Ariel. I'm talking about Ariel in this situation, but I'm talking about every other press guy. It could be any other person that does interviews, okay? let's just say I'm going to throw Megan Levy out there. She does a phenomenal job, but let's say Megan was to use a clip from an interview to embarrass a fighter that they had interviewed from before. Now, any other fighter, right? If you guys have watched that clip and you guys turn, like, say a year down the road or when you're retired and that's being used against you in a moment of weakness in terms of, like, you just got done fighting, you're exhausted, you come and you talk, it just seemed like a little unprofessional. I get the banter back and forth. I love the whole, hey, come at me, Hilwani, the nose, all of that stuff, everything. People call him the nose. I get it. That's all fun. I think, like, you want to come at me, come get me, I got this for you. I thought that shit was entertaining as fuck. Okay? But when you take clips like that and you put them out, Ariel went to school to be a journalist, and that was like kind of one of those, like, all right, now you just kind of lowered your level to, if you said Brennan's doing that, then you lowered your level to wherever it is that he was at then, if that's what you're saying. And so that's kind of like, I think, that comment. Now, my comments about owning the show. And he's like, oh, well, you work for Bellator. Yeah, I do work for Bellator. But Ariel, we weren't talking about Bellator. We were talking about our podcast. You were talking about your, I think it's called the Hilwani Hour. Is that what it's called? Or the MMA Hour? MMA Hour. Okay. I don't believe that you own that show. Like, if you leave, the MMA Hour stays there. And if with us, we were talking about shows. We weren't talking about working for Bellator and you working for ESPN. We weren't talking about that. We were just talking about strictly the show. And that was it. That was the comment that I made in our last show with Big John and I. And that was it. I said, like, the only difference is that, yeah, when we're doing this show, I don't work for anyone. Dave works for me, and John and I work together in terms of the two of us on this show. And that was all that was said. There was nothing bad about it. Ariel, I think, is one of the only guys that actually has a journalism degree, I believe, that covers MMA. I mean, I'm sure there's other guys now that I don't follow as much, but Ariel's one of the first guys in the sport that I think actually had a journalism degree and covered the sport itself. And so in terms of what he does a good job, man. He's good at what he does. That was what the conversation was about. So that's separate from what I was talking with him. He, like I said, he just seemed like he got a little upset with the Brendan thing, and it's carried on, and I thought it was funny, but when that clip of him doing the interview with Brennan got posted, now that just tells other fighters that later on down the road, you could potentially be, if you don't say something, if you dislike something he says and you comment on it, he could potentially pull up old clips of you being interviewed by him and use it against you. That to me was unprofessional. The rest of it, I could care less. This is fun entertainment. It's Twitter, and Twitter's not real life. That's the thing. Twitter's not a real place. It's not real life. So I know I kind of went off on that as well, but to talk more about with Riley Ford, there is space in there for everyone, because it says at the bottom, he says, what's the point in fighting that? Like, everyone's perspective is, Luke Thomas is absolutely phenomenal. I love his show, Morning Combat, with him and Brian Campbell. They do a wonderful job. We started our podcast, I believe, or our shows around the same time, and then they started probably a couple months earlier than us. They're phenomenal, man. They do a great job. I love his perspective on things. But like I think you said this in this comment. Love hearing your perspective, like your outlook after the Tony fight. But people like Luke Thomas also provide really valuable insight. That's absolutely true. They provide it, though, from a different perspective in terms of more of a fan perspective, more of a journalist perspective. And I'm not knocking them for that. I just don't like when it turns into, and I'm not saying Luke does this, when it turns into,
EuroAion, guide your path.
He should have done that, or that they know what the fighter could have, should have done, or it turns into that position. And I don't like that position coming from anyone, because I honestly, from the very beginning, I've always stood up for the fighter. I've always been that guy. I will be that guy. Sure, I work for Bellator in terms of, doing analyst work, but I still, to this day, I have conversations with some of the top brats at Bellator. I even still have conversations with some of the guys that work for the UFC, and they talk about certain fighters. I'm like, look, this fighter has this, and this potential. All I do is
I've been
speak
expecting you,
highly
Deva.
of every fighter when it comes to talking.
I'll be here
about
whenever you
talking
need me,
to guys like
Wandering One.
someone like a Scott Coker or a Rich Chow or a Mike Kogan or a whoever else works for Bellator or anyone inside the UFC. I'm not going to name names because I don't want them to get fired. But you know what I mean? So like anytime you talk to any of them in the UFC, it's just about making sure that they understand they have tons of talented fighters. And when you see the gold in someone, stick up for them. Make them feel like make whoever you're talking to in that organization, make them feel like, look, if you guys want to groom this person can be really good. Give them a fight or two to get them on the right track that works tailor-made for them. If they don't grit it out and get a win, then I understand the reluctancy. But then some of them, they end up rising to the occasion. Majority of them end up rising to the occasion and having a phenomenal fight, and later on even having phenomenal careers. So hopefully, Riley Ford. Hopefully, I answered that. I was kind of a little bit all over the place on there, but you know, we'll see.
Well, you
I'm gonna
threw
catch
in
some.
the,
I know I'm gonna catch some flack on this whole thing. So.
Well, what's
No
gonna
Big John
happen
here. No Big John here to save me.
Yeah. You said something about saying
Nice
nice
to meet
things
you.
about fighters. Now they're going to go back and find every time you said something not nice about a fighter.
Oh,
and
it's okay. But like I said, it's Twitter, man. It's not a real place.
So the only last thing, Josh, was the whole Ariel Hawani thing. I was just going to bring that up, but since you answered it, let's just jump into our outro for the show.
Our outro. How much time we
Wrap
have?
this up.
It's been an hour and 21.
We're at
Damn,
an
I
hour
talked-
25 right now.
I talked that much already. Shit.
You really do talk.
Hey,
too much.
do
Talk
you
to
have
me
any?
over.
Do you have any like one or two fan questions? Can you pull one or two up? Let's try to get this thing to an hour 30. Let's get an hour 30. Okay,
I
let's
think
go an hour.
I
and a
may
half.
only have one from the other day
That's
that
fine.
didn't answer. Let's see.
Okay.
Double check. I think we answered that. I think. Yeah, we answered that one for sure. Did we talk about interim
Yeah,
fights?
we did.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. A draw's a draw, buddy. Title stays. Title stays or it just stays vacant.
Did we talk about Tony and Connor?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
Yeah, we might have gone through all these. There was a couple of questions
Mhm.
I dropped but there's so many in here that it'd be hard to go through.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that already, yeah. All right, look. Okay, well, we tried. We tried to stretch this thing out a little bit more. Other than that, I want to just remind you guys.